And one thing I want to do is I want to salute your mayors up north. Honestly, I've been so impressed with them. I gave, Liverpool mayor a shout out, Manchester mayor a shout out, because these are leaders that are looking after the interests of their people. They're serving their citizens. Here in London, I'm so frustrated because our mayor literally has been crusading for a lockdown. He's been lobbying for it. He's been telling us it's inevitable, which I thought it was science-based instead of being inevitable. And he's literally trying to shut us down. And it's frustrating because I feel like it's very hard for us to fight back here. So we've got our own little weird battle, down here. And I'm very concerned if he tries to pull some of the moves they're pulling up there. But you guys have now been a great example of what solidarity looks like and sticking by the science. And it's been an amazing journey to watch. Just for people that maybe are international and don't know the whole story, can you just tell us, how did this start? And there was this incredibly epic piece of video where you shot, where there's a picture of 5 armed police officers, and then you flip the screen and it's you, and you're in the people's gym and there's some people lifting weights. And it was this crazy piece of video that, it really was surprising to see that contrast. What was happening that day?
Yeah, so we found out 2 days before Liverpool was pushed into tier 3 that it was likely it was coming. So our mayor, Joe Anderson, he tweeted out 2 days before when he'd been offered the support package for the first time from central government. And he tweeted publicly that his feelings on the package that had been offered was likely to take Liverpool back to levels of unemployment we've not seen since the 1980s. Now, me personally, I was born in the 90s. I never got to see that, but my family are from Anfield, Liverpool, in Liverpool City. And they tell me horror stories of the 80s. And, it's, from what it sounds to me, from people that I take very seriously, it sounds like probably one of the most difficult experiences our city's ever endured since the war. And that's not something that I wanted for my generation, most certainly not. Our city, I know this is much bigger and we do have national and global support here, but just to touch on Liverpool, we've not seen a unification of our people like this since the 80s. Like, we've not seen a movement this powerful with this many people behind it since the 80s. And all the war stories that I hear from the 80s from me, we endured the tough times and, we were standing up with the unions and everything else. They all sound like fantastic, heroic war stories, but I've never seen that. And to experience over the last week what it sounds like Liverpool experienced through the 80s, where the people have really stood together and fought for what's right because they knew what was right. They knew what was right in their heart. I'm still waiting to wake up. I really am. I'm still waiting for somebody to pinch me to wake up. And as you say, it's not just, this battle was never just Liverpool. We have set the precedent for the rest of the world, and there's movements popping up all over the place now. And just to clarify, this wasn't a reckless move. As you say, we are pushing for science-based decisions. We want to know that this country is under control and the decisions that we're making are informed, they're science-based. And that's all you can ask for. If you can ask for the science and you can open a dialogue for a good conversation, an informed conversation, that's the best way that we can do this. Whereas, we don't want to be confused with anybody who's just, completely reckless and defying the rules. But look, if the science doesn't support the decision that's made, there's a case to be made. And we're seeing this pop up all across Europe now. We're seeing this in the US. People are standing up for what is scientifically inaccurate. And I think that's the general feel across the world right now, is that we want more science-based decisions. And, we really want to get ahead of this, and we really want to tackle this and hopefully get back to some sense of normality, next year. I don't think we're ever going to be completely rid of this, but it would be nicer to be focusing on family time again, and less, being able to get some sleep at night without having to worry about whether you're going to be able to pay your mortgage next month, because you don't know whether your job's going to be there, or, you don't know whether we're going to be in lockdown or not, or whether you're going to be on 66% furlough or 80% furlough or no furlough whatsoever. It would be fantastic for the mental health of our entire nation if we can just get to this time next year and we can get a sense of normality running up to Christmas next year, and we can actually spend some time with our families without having to worry about, social bubbles and everything else, which, we do take seriously. But what I'm saying is, if we can tackle this the right way from a scientific perspective, maybe we can get back to normality, or at least close to it. And just to add to your point, if you don't mind, on Andy Burnham of Greater Manchester, Liverpool salutes this guy. He is an absolute champion of the people. And, I would love 10 seconds of that man's time just to shake his hand when that becomes allowed again. I have nothing but respect for that guy. We wish we had him here in Liverpool, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I've been saluting your mayors up there, and they're doing what they should do. They're fighting tooth and nail for the interests of their own citizens. Period. That's the job of local representation, from members of parliament to mayors of cities. It's just you don't see it that often, and I haven't seen it for our 9 million citizens, unfortunately. And it's been stark, the comparison between your leadership up north versus what's happening down here.
And they're taking a risk by doing it publicly as well. And I think that's what's really great about our mayors right now. They're taking to social media. Welcome to 2020, guys. You're nice of you to finally join the room. Do you know what I mean? They are publicly now. If Joe Anderson and Steve Rotherham and Angela Eagle hadn't tweeted publicly that central government were lying about it being, in their hands, we never would have known. We never could have got this overturned, because we would have thought, right, this is the decision that's been made. That's that. But the fact that they publicly stood against central governments on a decision that was clearly wrong based on the science, as you say, you've got to commend them for that. They put their necks on the line. They've stood up against central government to do what's right, to amend an error. And fair play to them for that. You can't ask more of that than your leaders, than to stand up publicly and put themselves on the line for what's right for the people that they represent. So fair play to them for that.